T'Challa the Black Panther Untitled Chapter 1 years ago, a Harlem high school, late afternoon. T'Challa's holographic discussion with Shuri about her attitude as requested by their mother was shortened by the arrival of the Fantastic Four member Benjamin Grimm aka The Thing. T'Challa met with his friend in the classroom where the Black Panther under the alias Luke Charles marked test papers. "Did you fake your credentials to get this part-time/substitute teacher gig?" asked Grimm. "My Oxford PhD grants me access to any school in the world," replied T'Challa. "Interesting. Well, I don't want to interrupt you that much," said Grimm. "Go ahead," said T'Challa. "I am here about Eugene Everett because he helped the Daredevil and me out of a jam with the Thinker, but he is failing all his classes including yours. I originally met the kid in jail after a cop put him in the cell as a warning. I don't think he got the message. I asked if he wanted to die before 17 and he replied that people were murdered every day in his neighborhood, it was just life in those parts. What do you think?" T'Challa offered Grimm a seat and then the Black Panther spoke. "I was trained to kill men from age 6, my younger sister Shuri also has that training because we are Black Panthers in Wakandan," said T'Challa. "All citizens of my nation carry blades and guns but they do not use them on each other. Homicides over petty matters are non-existent. It is a different culture over here and I want to show these kids that the turmoil that they experience is not the norm. I may not be getting that over to Eugene but I can only hope that he will eventually see the proverbial light. Also these kids provide me with information on criminal activity that is innocuous to them." T'Challa projected a holographic map from his kimono. "This is a normal map of the area. Now I will transpose the intel that the kids have on criminal drop-off points, transaction hubs etc., said T'Challa. "Golly," said Grimm. "I have verified 60% so far and will share the info with Spider-Man, Daredevil, and Luke Cage," said T'Challa. "There were knuckleheads on Yancey Street when I was growing up but not to the extent that you are showing me," said Grimm. "The Kingpin, Mr. Negative, the Owl, secret societies like the Hell's Fire Club and Rogue Shield personnel are profiting from this community and others like it in the country. And not all affected communities are publicized in the media because it is not deemed newsworthy to attract advertising revenue," said T'Challa. "That is a big accusation, Panther," said Grimm. "My friend, some of the shareholders for certain media outlets are affiliated to the same people running illegal arms, prostitution, organ harvesting, drug smuggling and money laundering. Crime is big business. Some crime outfits even have chairpersons like the Mob and Disciples Society." "Disciples Society?" quizzed Grimm. "They are a Chicago-based outfit that Kingpin is negotiating with to branch over into New York," replied T'Challa. "Eugene's old lady is from Chicago," said Grimm. "From my info, Chicago has been a major player in the underworld since the 1900s, even receiving the nickname Gangland, and it was deliberately done so. From inception, the city never had an adequate number of police officers because they were considered government operatives. The Mob formed a legal company and ran everything through it with city officials on its payroll. Kingpin was influenced by the structure of that organization and he adopted it in New York," said T'Challa. "Golly, this makes fighting Dr. Doom and Hydra sound tame," said Grimm. "Victor Von Doom and Hydra want to take over the world to eliminate crime, but they will impose a totalitarian regime to do so. You and I see the problem in that, but the man on the street might not mind giving up his God-given independence just to be able to have his kids play outside without them being shot because two rival gangs are clashing," said T'Challa. "The lesser of two evils," said Grimm. "Yes. So we have to fight evil on two fronts to keep humanity free. We have to battle the megalomaniacs like Dr. Doom and the street-level importer of illegal drugs and arms. The rest of the battle is up to the people to fix their own lives," said T'Challa. "I think I need a cigarette to process this," said Grim. "Don't look at me, I stopped smoking," said T'Challa. Chapter 2 Present-day Asura codenamed Divine Justice was a member of the Jabari Overseas Kill Squad called the Death Tigers. The Death Tigers were ordered by their clan leader to remain overseas as a backup in case T'Challa used military force on the Jabari clan after the newly crowned king fell out with the clan. T'Challa's father King T'Chaka previously used the Death Tigers to eliminate meta-human threats to Wakanda. Asura's Death Tiger cell settled in the suburbs of Chicago where they remained dormant until the Wakanda-inspired community activists appeared in the media. Asura was tasked with monitoring the home of the chief activist, the young attorney Eugene Everett. She learned that Everett's latest case involved the Federal Bureau of Investigation's involvement in supplying illegal arms to downtown Chicago for a sting operation. Apparently no one was supposed to know of the F.B.I's plot and certain people were angry that Everett threw a spotlight on it. Asura was not surprised when two men broke into Everett's home while he was at a downtown community convention. A third man acted as a lookout from the car that the group arrived in. The men used Secret Service specialty lock opening tools that left no trace of forced entry and they hacked the code that turned off the house alarm. Having employed similar tools, Asura was already in the house when the men entered. She used her meta-human speed and stealth skills to observe the men. The intruders placed large packets of a synthetic narcotic in various parts of the house, then they left. Asura received a message from her colleague who scanned the police dispatch call center and he told her that an anonymous tip was made that Eugene Everett was trafficking narcotics from his home. She called her father Damila for guidance with the use of a slender crystal that was taken from the mystical area of the Jabari's crystal forest. T'Challa is at the convention with Everett. "Any friend of T'Challa is no friend to us, so leave the narcotics," said Damila. Hispaniola Avenue, Southside Chicago. Commander Okoye approached Damila on the basketball court that was a building away from where T'Challa attended the convention. He was disguised as a homeless man. Okoye's scanners had discovered the mystical surge from his location. "Who are you?" asked Okoye. Damila did not respond, so Okoye took her mechanized spear from under her jacket and activated it. Then she attempted to subdue him but he vanished. Okoye messaged T'Challa to look out for trouble and she described the man to him. She made a satellite sweep of the vicinity over her Kimoyo and saw no one that matched the man's description. Okoye disapproved of these outreach agendas that T'Challa embarked on. They were a waste of Wakandan manpower and resources. A place as remote as Southside Chicago should have no bearing on Wakanda. Earlier when she was at the convention, someone mentioned that they needed jobs. Okoye disagreed because that person was short-sighted. Okoye looked around the block and saw many business creation ideas that the inhabitants overlooked. Did they know how to raise capital from cooperative unions and susu? But that was their problem. Her only concern was T'Challa. She passed people who were on the street out of curiosity as word of mouth had spread about T'Challa's presence. There was an applause for T'Challa's speech and Okoye was flattered that so many people gravitated to Wakanda, but in reality the culture was truly alien to them. Wakandans were trained killers and these people were not. They were better off following the next African superpower nation, Aranzi. A person in the convention hall spoke up on the microphone that was given to her. "Do you hear that? The guns have gone silent tonight," she said and was applauded. Okoye sighed because for the guns to really go silent would take the massacring of the splinter groups from the defunct Disciples Society and corrupt officials who profited from them. Okoye would gladly do it if T'Challa permitted her. The bodies would be tied from lampposts so that the message got across. On the downside, the organized crime elements with enough resources might raise war on Wakanda for hurting their cash flows. Okoye did not want Wakanda embroiled in such a drawn-out war. She presumed that T'Challa was too proud of his former pupil's achievement to see the full ramifications. If Shuri was there, then Okoye believed she would be in agreement with her. The Wakanda secret colony island in the Great Lakes informed her that surveillance on Everett's house showed a forced entry by two men. They were transported in a car that was flagged as stolen. A series of intercepted text messages from the men went to a private detective firm, then to the Department of Justice, and finally a senior officer of the FBI. A search warrant on Everett's home was requested and a judge was presently giving his approval. Okoye was also told that something else was at Everett's house, but it was difficult to identify it due to the Black Panther-like speed that it traveled with. "Noted," said Okoye. She relayed the info to T'Challa through his earpiece. "I am on it," said T'Challa. Chapter 3. T'Challa tactfully got Everett to come to him and the Black Panther told him about the break-in. "My people said that the men went in with bags and when they exited the bags appeared to be empty. I will go to your home. Stay here and act normal," said T'Challa. Everett gave him the security code for the house and in a few minutes the Black Panther teleported to the site. He deactivated the alarm and used his hyper senses to follow the trail of fibers and sense that the men left. T'Challa found all the narcotics just as the police arrived at the front door. He teleported to the Great Lakes colony and dumped the narcotics in the water. He was glad that his hunch was right about the FBI's sting operation into illegal arms being window dressing to appease folks in Washington, D.C. who wanted something done at a federal level in Southside Chicago to allay the media's assertion that all was lost. T'Challa had no problem with law enforcement doing their job, but Everett should not have been targeted because he highlighted the underhandedness that got a man serving a life sentence even though he ran the guns for the government after being cajoled by them. T'Challa notified Everett of the police raid on his home and that he should have nothing to worry about because Wakanda was now involved. "But my good name will be tarnished, I will look like a hypocrite based on suspicion alone," said Everett. "The people who believe in you will stay and the doubters will leave. This will make your organization stronger." "I know this from running Wakanda," said T'Challa. "You must continue walking towards your vision for the community by taking one step at a time and one day at a time." "Thanks, Teach," said Everett. T'Challa suddenly received a code red alert from Wakanda. The crystal forest was emitting massive amounts of mystical energy. A technician from the colony approached T'Challa about a similar but lesser energy signature on a tanker that was on its way to the Atlantic Ocean from the St. Lawrence Seaway. Experience told T'Challa that the tanker was a decoy because the Jabari were strategic militarists. T'Challa sighed because his past had finally come back to haunt him regarding the Jabari clan. The Death Tigers group was active again and most likely headed for Wakanda. The irony was that he spoke about peace and unity to the Chicagoans when he had neither in his homeland. Shuri, Okoye, Kana, and Nakia would have to deal with the Jabari clan while he goes to India to finally learn the secrets of the pact made 900 years ago between the Jabari clan and Baba Gore, the Ethiopian-born and military ruler of an Indian city that gave birth to the Death Tiger cult. Next story, the Hanuman Encounter.